Some things you wouldn't mind being stuck with, like a huge inheritance. But a phone that has to be plugged in just right so it charges is not one of those things. Switch to Verizon and we'll pay off your old phone up to $800 via prepaid MasterCard for a new one on us. Just trade in any phone from our top brands with select unlimited plans. $829.99 purchase with new smartphone line on select unlimited plans. Minimum $90 per month with autopay plus taxes and fees for 36 months required. Place $830 trade-in/promo credit applied over 36 months. Trade-in terms apply. Payoff phone requires smartphone purchase and port-in with new smartphone line on select plan. Must provide most recent bill showing payoff amount of eligible phone. Additional terms apply.
Lowe's knows how to help make your Super Bowl 59 party a touchdown. Let us help you prep your home to host with top brands like Charbroil, Blackstone, and LG, so you can be the MVP of game day. Plus, use the Lowe's app to find what you need for a seamless shopping run. Or huddle up with our Lowe's Red Vest associates to help make all your game time hosting decisions.
Welcome to Tunnel Talk, a no facts, all feelings wrestling podcast on the Social Suplex Network. I'm Allie.
I'm Ann.
I'm Leah.
How's everybody doing this week?
Oof. I didn't have a follow-up. I made the
I
noise.
was waiting.
And then
I was
like,
ready.
Yeah, I'm out in Seattle, so I got in like very late Eastern time last night and got like a weird amount of sleep. So
yeah, j'accuse, and I have not seen a picture of your nephews yet.
oh, that's true. Yeah,
I thought you were just going to say I haven't seen a picture of Seattle yet. And I was like, yeah, we like to see Seattle when you're there.
see that evidence. No, he'll be getting some pictures for sure.
Yeah.
My littlest nephew, he's almost 2, and so I like took some pictures of him, and he immediately ran over and was like, I want to see them. And then he wanted more pictures, so I took some of him like right up in his face, like his face is the whole frame, and then he kept going, Henry, every time he saw the picture. And then he learned to use a touchscreen. Before my very eyes, he reached out to touch himself and then started scrolling and moving around, and I'd have to be like, oh, that's my group chat, like, let's get out of there. And
Henry, we don't want to expose you to wrestling talk. You're
No,
much
you
too
don't need
young
any of
for that.
You'll never know what you'll find in there.
No. Well, that's good. That's good that you're hanging out with children. That'll be rejuvenating. I'm going to see some children this coming week, and
excellent. So important.
I love that for me.
Said that like you were like like a witch, like luring them into your gingerbread house. Like,
It's like I finally completed the house. And
the traps are set, and I should be seeing some children if all goes well.
Going to visit with my friends who have children. I'm going to North Carolina to see some children. Oh, what a dumb.
Hopefully, I will see a child as well.
yes, Leah had a
Three witches
I have a
each
new
with their children.
Three witches collecting all the children.
Yes, tell us about the child.
I also now have a nephew named Henry. So Ann and I are in a Henry club.
Henry
yeah.
Club.
He was
He's so
born-
cute.
Yeah.
He's very cute for a newborn. He's a real chubster,
Yeah.
which is adorable.
I mean, I'm extremely objective on this point, but he's quite beautiful, and I can't wait to see him.
yeah. Are you gonna get to go this weekend?
So apparently, babies that are were born via C-section often have fluid in their lungs because when you get squeezed out through the birth canal, it squeezes all that shit out of your lungs. And so, yeah. And so,
Always learning new things about birth.
I know it.
And they're all disturbing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Henry came quite traumatically, and so he has to stay until they're not concerned about it. They're like, yeah, this is what happens with C-section babies, but they don't want to release him until like it resolves. So I don't think he's getting released until Sunday, and then like I have to figure out like kind of like all of us are circling my brother and his wife being like, and when will visitors be welcome? and
anytime you're ready, just let me know.
When will the baby be presented?
So you're just gonna pop off that starting pistol, or how do we know it's okay to get in there? Well, I love that for all of us. That's a good start to the year. 2025. What a dumb one. But we were here. We were here within this year. It was 2025 last time we were here. Yeah.
So true, Bessie.
Hey, girls, I came here to thrive. And honestly, I think I am thriving. I'm actually worried that this is going to be the worst I've ever taught. I've never felt less equipped to discuss what's happening at AEW. I'm hopeful that soon I don't know what to say there. Well, anyway, let's get some podcast business out of the way.
I think this is going to be a good one. I feel really good.
Yeah, it's going to go really well. Because we're all, visiting babies and stuff next week, the pod will be off, but you don't have to miss us. You can go listen to us on the AEW Match Guide with Sir Sam. Our episode will be coming out, I believe, on the 15th.
Yeah.
Could that be right?
Yes.
So we will link that, but you can find it on the Social Suplex stream feed. Feed is what I mean, on the Social Suplex feed. And we talked about Arcade Anarchy and had a great time. I think we did it our way. And that's...
Yes, I would say that we made Sir Sam have some conversations that he's never had before.
He was ready for it, though. He was like,
he was ready,
I totally agree about the sex dungeon. It was like, Sam, I love you for playing in the space with us.
It was, we came in hot wanting to discuss it, and he met us where we were at and said, yeah, what can you do but discuss it? So, so you can hear our thoughts on early days Miro and our best friends back before the Troubles on AW Match Guide. Next week, you won't have an episode of this podcast.
No, we're all on children collecting duty.
We are.
We're
100% on babies.
The witches are out roaming the moors and collecting children, and we'll be having our fun. Okay. Anyway, any other crazy things I should say before we actually talk about the wrestling?
Can't think of anything.
They say no, let's get down to business. Okay. We had to warn you guys last week that we had not yet seen this when our episode was released. And now we have seen it. The Young Bucks fought at Wrestle Dynasty. They won the IWGP tag team titles, and they took their shirts off, baby.
Hell yeah. This is advocacy works, you know?
Yeah. Listen, when you fight for something, sometimes that fight pays off.
Yeah. And it's like, if you see something, say something.
People sometimes need wrongs pointed out to them. Sometimes people don't realize. So you have to say, hey, Matt and Nick Jackson, your breasts are missed.
The breasts are missed. And it's easy to feel like, wow, I've kept this vest on and no one's really said anything, so I guess this is what people want. Like, no, we were just being polite. We were all being polite and not speaking, but then we chose bravely. Yes. We chose to speak, and I hope that we did it respectfully, and look at the results.
Well, yeah, it feels uncomfortable in the moment to say, please take your shirt off for me. I want to view. But, when you have the access, you have to ask the hard questions.
It's so true. So true. It's important to be brave.
And it pays off.
Some have accused us of not having brought a hard-boiled journalistic integrity to our interview, but we said, actually, I think we put ourselves out there. I think we went out on a limb and we said stuff that no one else was willing to say, and you just can't argue with seeing Titty at the Tokyo Dome.
Yeah, yeah.
And it
speaks for itself.
Looked so fucking good.
I almost died because, first of all, they came down in the new gear, which I love. I loved the new gear.
Yeah,
but
great.
They were very, very tight tops, beautiful tight tops. And then back onto the ring, and he looked at the camera.
He did,
and he smirked a little, and then he took off his shirt as if he was a hot girl. He crossed his arms in front of him and pulled it off. And then tossed it. And I was like, that is a bitch who knows that there are women losing their shit about this.
Yeah, and he was kind of doing a little like, oh, you want me to? You want me to? And then he took it all the way out, and we do.
Could not believe the way I was teased by Matthew Jackson in that moment. I simply loved to see it. Yeah. I felt like this is kind of what wrestling was created for, no?
Yeah, no, I think it is.
Yeah,
and we were a little worried when he was talking about his body and how he'd been working out too much, but he looked perfect.
Oh, I was so scared. I was like, what if he takes off his shirt, and I'm like, oh my God, it's Brian Cage. Like, what would I do? But no. I should have known he'd never let me down. He looked so good. They both looked really good.
Yeah. We had no choice but to be scared. In wrestling, you never know what someone means when they say they've been working on their body. It's one of the most terrifying things you can hear.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on the match? On them getting the tag team titles over in New Japan? All our men are trying to leave us for New Japan. They want to be in Japan. They don't want to be with us here in America. I can understand that from some perspectives.
It's very stressful because they clearly were like luminescent with happiness. Like
yeah, they were so happy.
They had like joyous energy as they wrestled, and I was like, I know it's because New Japan is being so kind to you and that you're having such a nice time and you're with your families and your families are enjoying Japan, and that's all great. You have to come home eventually. Like, I think that they're defending the belts in in February in Japan, and I'm like, we can't keep doing this. You have to come home.
But they're going to be on AEW TV before then, right?
I hope so, right? Like they can't just not be on TV, right?
They can't just not.
They can't. They have to come home.
They have to come home. If I'm going to pitch a fit, if of course it was wonderful to see them luminescent at the Tokyo Dome and to see something that I think on this podcast I said we'll never get to see it. Matt Jackson bare chested with the pearls and the high bun, full girl mode. It's like I thought we wouldn't ever get it. I thought we would never see this day, but we got it, and it was beautiful to behold. And now come home. Now, please come home. Now,
come home.
Come home. Be here. Be here. Come be bare chested with pearls on and your hair in the high bun here.
Yeah,
in America, baby.
The match was just so fun too. I was like, oh, the Bucks are always just like fun to watch, and I felt very like I have missed them. I need them back on.
And now also, if I'm gonna widen my eyes to other men, I'm glad that Trish had us watch that Hiromu versus Naito match way back, because I knew them when they came out, and when Hiromu came out in that like mascot's outfit, like I don't know if I'm supposed to recognize whatever character, but he sauntered down the ramp as if he was queen shit, but in that outfit I was like, I'm gonna die. I love him. I love this. The energy was so good.
I love him. I think I didn't understand some of the logic that commentary was trying to get across to me at the beginning of the match about their relationship, but I thought, I better go read up a little. I don't really know what you're saying to me right now. I don't think it makes sense, but I'll be looking into it.
Did you see Mary Ixura's tweet that she like screenshotted something and she was like, why do they always look like Naito's and an exhausted single mom and her like 12-year-old hyperactive son?
It's a dynamic we're not seeing enough in tag teams, to be honest. We could do with a little more of that. The other before we move on to our other match we'll discuss from Wrestle Dynasty, let's just talk about Rocky Romero. Little shout out to the best friends, the Philadelphia best friends, and wow, can you believe that we got Dustin online talking about kissing boys?
Oh my God.
Crazy.
He talked about Japanese hunks.
He hasn't tweeted in so long too. It was like, Dustin, this is what I needed. It did feel like, wow, balance has been restored to the universe.
We can have everything.
It's almost scary to get so many things you want all at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. What else is out of whack?
If you're being so kind to me now, like, how will you hurt me later?
Yeah. I also I'm noticing with my eyes that I think it was both Young Bucks, the AEW Instagram posted randomly a video of the Bucks getting beat up by best friends, and both Bucks reposted it, and I was like, I'm seeing it. I'm noticing it. Are you telling me anything? Is there something I should know?
Whisper a little secret into my ear.
Wow. Imagine if we somehow got that in 2025.
If they came back from Japan just to engage with reunited best friends. Wow.
Wow. That would be a true, like, just our power as women, I think, just putting it out there.
We're women. This is why all this is happening.
Manifesting.
We're manifesting. We're going to get out there under the moon, and we are going to cast a spell for you, the IWC.
Mm-hmm. I think that's right.
So bet on that. Okay, also at Wrestle Dynasty, Kenny Omega fought Gabe Kidd and won. I haven't watched this yet. I wasn't going to admit to it, but I haven't yet.
Allie.
Wow, the entire IWC is gonna like hold you accountable. I think it was the only topic of conversation this week.
I had a really bad week, which my friends can tell you that it was really bad, and I haven't really been doing very good. So I haven't watched Kenny yet. Just saw some pictures of his beautiful face, and I saw his post-match promos and stuff, and I heard that he really inspired. Would you say that he inspired?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was really good. I mean, it was do you remember the first time the match where Nick said, "Come on, Matt, let's kill it." And he first came back and we were like, "Yeah, that's what the Bucks can do." It was that basically where it's like, "Oh yeah, I forgot like Kenny was gone and I wasn't really paying attention, but actually he's literally the best wrestler in the world. Like he's just good."
It's crazy how long it's been, because it was like, oh, I'd almost forgotten about this. Like, and he was looking great. Like, you could also be like, oh yeah, his guts were treating him real well that year between when he came back the time before, you know.
Yeah.
That was not the most coherent way to say that, but you know.
No, but isn't it crazy to sometimes think about, I mean, it's like everyone this week has been having conversations about like how Kenny's been used, you know, at AEW and what Kenny can do and how he should be presented and stuff. And then sometimes I just abruptly remember like that for many of the years we're discussing the man was just like having, I don't know, 24/7 vertigo, and then his guts tried to explode out of his body. It's kind of like, well, what can we say about any of that?
Right. He was out for 9 months getting surgery. Yeah, the vertigo, everything. It's crazy.
Yeah. So then he got advertised for this week's Dynamite, his return to AEW. He ended up closing out the show. He got a big entrance with his new music. This is the Final Fantasy music, or it's by the Final Fantasy composer.
It's by that guy.
I really like it.
I liked it too, and I got excited. One of my best friends is very into Final Fantasy, and he heard about it organically, like through his video game fandom. They were like, this is going to happen, and this is going to be really cool. And I was like, yeah, that is going to be really cool. And I thought the music was great.
Yeah.
I loved it, and I loved his presentation. He loves doing the big floating Omega sign, and I do think it's kind of silly. But, you know, Kenny can do what Kenny likes, and he looked really kind of mean and serious as he came out.
He had a very interestingly brutal and like furious kind of attitude, which I thought that he was going to take to America, but he kind of didn't.
Well, I don't know. I mean, he looked quite solemn. I had jumped to Dynamite, so he looked quite like, I don't know. There was a certain gravitas to the way that he came out.
Yeah.
And then he cut an in-ring promo where he was, you know, doing a classic little like, well, here's what you missed on Glee. I had diverticulitis. My guts tried to come out of my body. Then I had to go to the hospital 4 times. And now I'm here. And now who am I? Hey, guys, who will I be going forward? What did you guys think of the promo?
It wasn't my favorite because, again, like I was a little bit like, you know, it was the same kind of complaints I had with him coming back with like Okada, where it's just sort of like, yeah, but what are we doing? Like, I don't like, again, I just thought he was going to come back like kind of furious because that was his vibe at the New Japan like match, but it was fine. Like, I was obviously really happy to see him, and he seemed moved by people's reactions.
Yeah, I really loved his presentation. Like, I loved him having a live mic in the ring. Like, that was really fun. I think the, like, here's my injury report kind of comeback promo is not my favorite type of promo. And it's interesting because, like, the story he seems to be working is, like, can I still go? Which he was kind of doing in the New Japan match because it was very, you know, a lot of, like, selling my guts and sort of, like, playing up a lot of that. But that's also like not the most interesting storyline for me. So, so it'll be interesting to see like what he does with it. Cause we haven't recapped the next part, so I won't jump ahead, but, I did like his fury at Don Callis.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I had no strong feelings about the promo because, like, he was doing the, can I still go storyline. But then he was like, and I guess I proved that I can. And then he had the last thing he said before he got interrupted by Don Callis, he had this new version of Kenny Omega that isn't concerned about money, power, or revenge. I was just like, for how long? That's what in a way I like to hear it because I'm like, I see that gun over the fireplace. If I had to guess, probably you will become concerned with some of those things.
That is true.
So he got interrupted by Don Callis, who came out and he said something. I guess I didn't put it here. He said something like, "Oh, you're back" or something, and Kenny just beelined for him and started beating him up, which I did not expect.
No, I loved it. And Kenny did great face acting too of like sort of Don Callis' music hit, and he got like a very kind of traumatized face, which I really loved after Don Callis and his powders. And then the like just throwing himself at Don Callis to pummel him was like, oh, Kenny, look at you. Look who's not concerned about revenge, allegedly.
You've never had a payoff on something like that so quickly. So he was beating up Don Callis. Don Callis's little family came out to save him / attack Kenny. So we had Lance Archer, Brian Cage, and Kyle Fletcher all came out. They got Kenny in the ring. Kenny was selling his guts again, as he loves to do. And they were beating him up. And then Will Ospreay's music hit. Ospreay came out for the save with a chair, I think. And he and Kenny were in the ring together. There was a moment where Ospreay had like raised the chair like he was gonna, the classic like, will I hit you with this chair? And it was like, I don't know if you're gonna hit him with the chair. Why would you come out at all? But and then they just stared at each other. And then we ended on a cliffhanger, which I guess maybe it has. I'm like, I feel like it hasn't happened in a minute. And I really like popped for it. I was just like, oh yeah. I don't know what your relationship is going to be to each other, but that's exactly where I want this episode to end.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The two like traumatized half brothers, both who just beat their father. Hello. Of course, I love that.
That's anime, baby. So the other thing that was going on with Ospreay in this episode of Dynamite was that he opened the show with a match versus Buddy Matthews. Yeah. And I was looking for more of a stronger nod of approval from my girls.
You're correct. Yes.
It's just because Ospreay did it, so therefore he did it to me. But he opened with this match versus Buddy, and then he won. And afterwards, he shook Buddy's hand and told the crowd to give it up for Buddy, and then said, "This is so crazy. I've admired you from afar, and I can tell you this for a fact. I've wrestled you and Brody King, and neither of you need to follow a leader. You can do it by yourself. I can see tag gold in both your futures, or singles gold if you really want it. If you ever need a man in your corner, Buddy, I'm your guy."
This was crazy. This was like the definition of a like her moment.
You've been watching
Buddy Matthews?
For what purpose?
Why? Yeah, and then all these like the handshake of respect type thing after a match is always like a little bit annoying to me, to be honest, and this one was completely baffling.
I think we must have seen instances of it that I liked. I'm just kind of guessing. But it's easy for me to imagine that we've seen somewhere I was like, oh yeah, that's earned. If you don't have any like storyline leading to it, sometimes it's just like, what the fuck? Go do that backstage.
Yeah, right. I don't need to watch you say good game to each other. Like, that's not really an emotion I can get invested in.
This is locker room stuff. I don't want to see that. Other locker room stuff I would like to see, not that. So I guess what people are saying is that Malachi is finally on the way out and is going back to WWE, which is funny. Good luck to that little guy.
You recently reminded me of Cope. Like the last time we saw Cope was when Malachi, he put the blood spray between Malachi's legs, and like we all like were like, when the Diva Cup fails.
Yeah.
And so now like I just I'm like, oh, we're losing him, even though I don't like him. But I was just like, I loved that moment so much that I was like, oh.
I'd love to watch a little like Malachi Black highlight reel, and it would only have two things in it, which is him kicking Cody in the face right when he first showed up, and then the Diva Cup moment. And it'd just be like, wow, R.I.P. We'll miss you.
We were really excited for him when he showed up. He was wearing his little tap pants that he didn't like. I think that we called them his little tap pants, but they were so cute, and he was.
He
fun
did have
for
to
a
get on
minute.
the internet and be like, they're actually a very martial arts pants.
They're really manly.
Again.
They're for boys.
He did do it on Tumblr.com, which everyone refuses to acknowledge. But he got on Tumblr.com and said, you guys are not interrogating my pants from the right perspective.
That can also be in his highlight reel, just like his Tumblr, like just a scroll of it.
So this is going to be like our in memoriam for Malachi Black. Yeah, that's a good use. That'll be a good use of our time to put that together. R.I.P. See you never. You sucked. And then, but then the other thing going on here is just like, Will Ospreay, what is your fucking deal, buddy? You're going around to every man backstage being like, oh, do you want to hop in a foxhole with me? Do you want to hop in a corner with me?
Are you my mother? No, Buddy Matthews is not your mother.
Girl, you are a little friendship slut. You are out there slutting it up. You're desperate for a friend. People can smell it on you, bud.
I'm obsessed with it as a character note. And the thing is, I know it's not. Like, I know that's not what he expects us to take out of it. But if it was a deliberate thing where he's like, I had the United Empire, was that their name, at my back in New Japan, and I expected to have them when I came to America, and then Kyle was so mean to me, and Mark Davis won't get dressed. He just wears his like...
Oh, yeah, where is Mark Davis? Haven't seen him in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, he's really pieced out.
Yeah. But... it's just very, very interesting for him. Like, it would be an interesting character note if he was like, you know, I'm searching for a friend. I'm desperate for a friend. All I want in the world is a friend. And yet I can't seem to like find anybody that I like. And like, it's just like, if he made it textual again, like I think we're coming back to last week when we were like, he needs a turn as a pathetic man.
Yeah. Well, but it's also funny because it's like, he's not really looking for someone that he'll like. He's looking for someone who'll agree to like him. And he's being pretty indiscriminate. Like, it's just like your choices in like potential friends could not be more different.
Yeah. Do you think Buddy Matthews is like the absolute bottom of the barrel? Like, if I was
To
at
me.
AEW going like through the friendship barrel, I do think he'd be at the very last one, probably.
I would skip him. He'd be the last one, and I wouldn't try. I'd be like, well, it's better to be alone. And this is really my philosophy. I'm like, it's better to be alone than to hang out with someone who sucks.
Yeah, clearly. Well, it's like very funny to think of Will Ospreay being like, oh, they're losing Malachi? Like, so they have a friend slot available? Maybe if I go tell them that they don't need a leader, they'll like me.
Okay, I'm dying.
funny.
That is so funny, especially because wasn't Buddy Matthews the one who didn't understand Malachi's like vibe anyways?
Slipknot,
so it's so funny to picture Brody King like being saddled with Buddy and Ospreay and being like, we're House of Black, we're very goth and moody and whatever, and Buddy and Ospreay are like, oh, I could totally do that. I'll start a Pinterest board.
Do you think that it would be that that Brody rotates up into the top role, or is Ospreay trying to cruise in and just like he's like, the seat's open? Not that he is like hungry for power, but he's like, well, that's just the spot that's available, so I can lead the faction, no problem.
I think that people have argued that Julia Hart should lead the faction, which is even funnier.
That's right. It's very funny to imagine Will Ospreay is like, buddy, let's get in the foxhole together. And Buddy's like, you're going to have to run that by Julia. I just work here, buddy.
And then like Julia being super goth and Brody, they've got these two like blonde golden retriever energies who don't understand what goth is.
Well, you know, I'm at my leisure to see it, but it probably won't happen because, again, Ospreay came out and kind of embroiled himself in what's going on with Kenny, and we don't really know how that's going to play out. Why does he want it?
Yeah.
I'm interested. Yeah. Do you think they're going to be friends, enemies, or lovers? That's only 3 options.
Wow. It's so hard to say. I mean,
What would you like the most?
Possibly lovers, I guess.
Of course. Yeah. Well, it's our podcast. Yeah. So I guess that makes sense.
I know. I just do have a hard time seeing Kenny have any kind of normal relationship.
Yeah.
I would almost be more interested if the two of them discovered friendship together, because Kenny's never had a normal friend either. He just has the Bucks who cycle in and out of
You want a Job Tony Wonder situation. The feeling was friendship, but neither man had experienced it before. It's not a no from me.
Yeah, I'm interested.
Okay. Who? Anne, do you want to read this thing that you typed while watching Kenny's segment?
I have
And
no memory
a
of...
demon got in you?
Yeah, I have no memory of typing this, so Allie brought it out for me in the schedule. Apparently, I typed "good gravy, Ken." Okay. I don't know what he was doing at that
The demon
time.
in you was Kenny Omega. I don't know what he was
Pretty
doing
clearly.
either. Now, because Kenny has embroiled himself in the Callis family situation again, his return match at AEW, I'm so proud and happy to report, will be against our repulsive son, Brian Cage.
I popped so big time. I'm like, that is absolutely perfect.
Yes.
I will love
Yes.
every second of it.
Yes.
No notes.
Yes.
Do you think that it's like pretty, I don't know, like amazing and admirable that we've taken ourselves from hating Brian Cage? We just talked ourselves into loving him, and we still do hate his body, but we're just like, that's our boy. That's our
Yeah.
boy.
And like, honestly, like still hate his body, but every time I see his like face and hair and everything, I'm like, oh, he
better.
looks great. He's looking
Yeah.
so cute. Even his body doesn't look that repulsive. And
Well, let's not go too far in, but yeah, I will say he looks much more normal
Yeah.
than he ever has. Complimentary.
for some
Beautiful.
people, saying they look much more normal is such a derogatory statement. But for
Yeah,
Brian
I'm sure-
Cage,
I'm sure he would like to hear that we're like, the muscles are starting to, kind of tone down a little bit. But
I think they might be as big as ever, but because he has more hair, it just like proportionally
Balances.
it looks better. Because it wasn't good when he had his little mohawk, his little faux hawk.
I didn't care for it.
yeah,
No.
mutton chops.
But I genuinely do think it's going to be a good match. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
crazy. I feel like
No.
didn't
Yeah,
he
I think
have
it will
like
be.
didn't he have good
Yeah.
matches with Hangman? He didn't.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think Hangman's best outdoor moonsault Daly's Place picture was from a match with Brian Cage.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I could be wrong, but if I'm not, what an amazing thing for me to know.
Yeah, it is. I'm very impressed.
Point on the board.
Point on the board, I think. Yeah. Okay. Any other thoughts on the Elite? I guess I thought I had another question, but I don't. Shall we move on?
Yeah.
Are you proud that we're women and that we asked for the Young Bucks to take their shirts off and they did it for us?
Oh my God, they look so
proud.
good. And this isn't them with their shirt off, but they posted a picture from the Tokyo Dome where Matt was wearing a skin tight V-neck
That was
red
crazy.
shirt.
Okay, that was insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is what we've been needing. This is what we've been needing.
I believe you said something like, was he goofing on us? Like a man who wearing that shirt could never not know that he has a rockin' bod.
Yeah,
You wouldn't
yeah.
wear it. You wouldn't
Yeah.
wear it.
How does the man who dresses like that think, oh, I have to work on my body before I take it off? No, you know what you look like.
Crazy.
Beautiful. Okay, Private Party fought Action Andretti and Leo Rush on Collision this past week and won, retaining their tag team titles. They then came out to celebrate on this week's Dynamite and were quickly interrupted by the Hurt Syndicate, who kind of played around. They were like, oh, let's toast to your success. And then Bobby Lashley was like, actually, we're going to take your fucking belts. And then he went out and had a singles match with Mark Briscoe. The match ended via ref stoppage. And there was a post-match beatdown, Bobby Lashley on Mark Briscoe, and then Private Party came out to defend Mark Briscoe. And I don't know, I guess that now they're mad at the Hurt Syndicate, so that's why. And the Hurt Syndicate are a tag team now. And so I don't know. We've said it before. I don't know why we went through all this hullabaloo. You said they'd be a tag team. Then they come into singles, guys. We're like, what do you mean they weren't a tag team, but now they are a tag? I don't know. I don't know what to do with any of that, but that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank God. Get them over there.
They should be in the tag division because there's nobody else in there. So, and I think it's a good feud for Private Party to have because Private Party hasn't been given literally anything.
Yeah. The Connie really took up a lot of time away from stuff like that and then didn't even give me emotions to compensate for it.
I know.
So.
I don't know if we're in the minority with being disappointed in the Connie. I think we might be, but
no, I don't think so, actually.
Oh, okay. Good. Oh, good. Great.
It depends on who's talking, I think. Like, obviously, like, the match quality was fine. That's just not our highest
priority. Yeah. Well, I mean,
we don't know about that.
I don't think the people who are unhappy with the Connie, I don't think they're saying people aren't crying enough in the promos. I think they had other reasons they were unhappy about it. I think we're the only ones that were tracking the social media promos with that amount of, like, fierce intensity.
Well... Oh, okay. Well, it's over now. That we didn't have time for any tag team storylines because of it. I'm happy for Private Party to fight with the Hurt Business or the Hurt Syndicate or whatever. I am just like, but they're not going to lose the tag titles right away, are they? They can have the tag titles for a little minute, can't they? They barely defended them.
I'm so scared.
They fought like once.
I'm so scared because Rich on ONR this week was like, they're probably going to lose it to the Death Riders sometime soon.
Don't
and I was
the
like,
Death Riders already have the trios belts?
They have the trios belt and Mox has the real belt. Like they can't have another. They can't have all the belts.
This is belt hoarding. This is out of control.
I don't want
If you're not going to unify the belts, you can't win all of them.
I thought you were just going to say if you're not going to use it.
That would be legitimately so funny if they tried to unify the men's world champion,
the tag and the trios.
And the
I think maybe.
They were just like
maybe
one belt.
Try it. One belt, guys.
One big belt. Or like, what if they made it like a kind of like a package deal? So it's like you can only win one of them if you win all of them. You know, so it's like your faction has to win all of them to have them.
That would add an interesting wrinkle. I think that could really juice up some feuds.
Well, it'd be so interesting because people would be having to find each other, right? Because there is no other faction that's big enough. So you'd have like, okay, the Hurt Syndicate is a
some alliances,
tag team. Yeah. So they'd have to find a trio to hook up with, and then a single star. That's really cool. I would do that. I would watch that.
And you're creating a little bit of a fun scavenger hunt energy back.
Yeah, and I think like people complicatedly like navigating some complex alliances of being like, hey, Brody King and Buddy Matthews, like now there's only two of you. You want to join us?
Y'all want to buddy
that
up?
One. And I feel like you'd have like a fun segment where like the Dark Order is the only like unaffiliated like trio right now, and they'd be like, well, who needs the Dark Order now? Huh?
Right. Suddenly, look who's on top. Look who's the prettiest girl at the ball.
Oh, I want that for the Dark Order. You guys should get to be a pretty girl. What else do we have here? Oh, I don't know why I thought we might have thoughts on the Mark Briscoe Bobby Lashley match. That doesn't sound like us.
This was like the point in the episode where you were like, "This is a very man-coded episode of Dynamite," and was like,
"I know,
you're not wrong." Yeah,
and I definitely was like, "This is fine, but this is boring." Like, I was trying to do other things, to be honest, while watching. But then everyone was really happy with the episode. So it was kind of like, well, what the fuck do I know? But I guess what I know is that if I have to watch Buddy Murphy and then a Mark Briscoe Bobby Lashley in the span of like 40 minutes, for me, that's actually not a great time. For me, that's not really a good time at all.
No.
But
no.
Whatever.
Especially when both matches, I was like, wait, why is this happening? And just because, as far as I know.
Just because of men. Just because, you know.
Men wanted
I guess
to see
because they
it.
got the juice. That's what people like to say. Oh, they got the juice, so we put them out there, something like that. And you know, not for me. I didn't see a single tear. Nobody cried. Nobody was weird. They were also normal. I did like that MVP was on commentary for this match, and Shelton Benjamin, wearing a really lovely coat, was just standing behind him the whole time, which I know does happen fairly often, but for some reason it was especially funny to me at that time, and I just kept thinking, get him a chair. Oh, get him a chair. Come on.
It's a long time to stand.
Okay. Let's do you want to talk about MVP, or should we move on to the women?
I mean, just briefly, I know we got to move, but like, I do think that the Hurt Syndicate does need to like stop relying as much as they are on MVP. He's very charismatic and I like him, and this is nothing against him, but nobody has really explained to me like what personalities Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin have, and like, in fact, what their relationship to each other is.
Yes, I need to know.
Seriously. Like, do they like each other? Or are they just like employees of MVP?
Yeah, like they mostly just kind of stand there stone faced. Like I haven't really seen much of anything from either of them. It's like I like Shelty better because of his wrestling, but that's all I got. Yeah.
I also realized this week that Bobby Lashley looks like a child that someone took the picture and put it through an AI filter to age him up. And so that's really something I'm working through.
And AI didn't know how to upsize the ears so they're still child sized.
And I did when you said that, it was like, yes, absolutely. And it's like it's a warning. Like, it's just like, this is what could happen if you get too into bodybuilding. Like, you say to a small child, like, they're like, I want to start going to the gym. Like, stop. Look at what you could become.
I thought you were going to say, this is a warning. You shouldn't use AI because it doesn't look good.
Yeah, that too. Well, there are a lot of warnings, that you could take depending on, but I agree. We need to know what their relationship to each other is if you want us to get, kind of invested in them, I think.
At Verizon, anyone can trade in their old phone for a new one on us with Unlimited Ultimate, which means everyone in your family could get a new phone and stay on your family plan, keeping you close.
Hey, Mom, you seen my toothbrush? Yeah, I'm almost done with it.
Oh, maybe too close. Trade in and additional terms apply. See Verizon.com for details.
Mariah May and Harley Cameron had a pretty unhinged backstage segment on Dynamite that didn't get recapped properly at all on AllEliteWrestling.com. I know I've said it before. Nobody wants to hear it again. I'm begging you. Whoever does the recaps on AllEliteWrestling.com, I'm begging you. Stop cutting out the weird, funny stuff that people say in their promos and only leaving in the super normal, boring stuff they say. You are making me lose my goddamn mind. I can't do this.
Someone's
I cannot do this.
I'll clean this up, girls. Like, you won't seem like you have a personality when I'm done. Don't worry.
I need to know why it's happening. It makes me feel insane. But so they said some crazy stuff that didn't get recapped.
Yeah.
And so I can't remember what it was.
It was crazy. And Harley's boobs looked nuts.
Oh my God. They are absolutely wild. I'm gay. I'll say that. I love respectfully. I love to look respectfully. She's so funny.
She's really funny.
Oh, have we watched them interact before?
So you asked us in the schedule, and I didn't know the answer to it. So I went to our group chat and asked, if anybody knew what their deal was and whether there was a reason that they were doing promos together. And no one knew. And in fact, they suggested a explanation, which I love, which is that Harley sometimes just turns up and you can't stop her. What are you going to say? Go away? So,
and I guess Mariah May did kind of say, go away. She was like, we're actually filming right now. But something about both of their affects made me think that they'd had a segment recently that had started to set up some kind. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I liked it. And
I mean,
it was fun.
Of the shallow poll I took of our group chat.
Yeah, but they did have an energy like they were kind of longtime friends. But I was like, oh, I'm kind of interested in this dynamic. I think this could take us some places. So that's fun.
Yeah, I was not mad about it. I'm happy. They are going to fight tomorrow yesterday for you on Collision. They fought on Collision. Also on Dynamite, Chris, Toni Storm, and Willow fought to be the #1 contender in the first ever women's casino gauntlet, and that is going to be for a shot at the title at the Brisbane show. Mm-hmm. When is that Brisbane show? Is that in February?
I don't know.
I'm sorry, I sprung that on you. I didn't say I was going to ask that, and I didn't know I was going to ask it until I asked it. So that's on me. We don't need to know. Don't look it up. Chris,
It's too late. It's being looked up.
That's good. Someone's going to get that answer for us. Chris won, and afterwards, Renee interviewed Toni Storm backstage. Toni Storm said, "I'm not surprised I didn't win. Clearly, I'm just not ready. It was an honor to be out there with Willow and Chris, but for me, I'm just not ready. I'll keep working hard, but I guess it can't be Toni time all the time. She's the light of my life. She's my dream girl."
It's so funny. The like absolute sincerity where she's playing this like rookie is delightful. It's killing me.
For me personally, there's something very beautiful about how much I disliked her gimmick when she got to AEW, and that she then did a gimmick that I loved. And then it feels like she's talking to me. She's like, "I can make you love the old one. I'll do it in a way where you're going to love it now." And I'm like, "I do. You got me."
Look at it again. Look at it again. Look at it again. Look at it through this lens. And I'm like, Toni would be my pleasure.
Yeah. You're right. I was wrong. You were right. It's perfect. So Chris has there's going to be another match maybe tomorrow. Yeah, no, next week on Dynamite, we'll get the Casino Gauntlet with Chris as the number one contender. Have Chris and Willow talked at all, or?
I don't think so.
Not in, like, a
I think she gave a
substantive way, I don't
promo
think.
recently. Like Chris gave one alone where she like talked more about what's going on with her. I didn't have a chance to watch it yet, but like I think from based on what everyone else has said that Chris is trying her best to make sense out of like the face turn. Like she's really trying to like kind of retcon it in a way that like everybody can deal with, which good for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. You got to try. It was a mess, but I appreciate her trying.
Well, we'll see what happens with that. So speaking of Casino Gauntlets, we had our men's Casino Gauntlet for a shot at the AEW Men's World title on this week's Dynamite. Jay White was the number one contender. So he came out first. Now, to be the number one contender and to be the number two contender in a Casino Gauntlet, it's kind of the same thing, right? It's not really an advantage to being the only guy out there.
You can't really pin yourself, so yeah, you are right there.
If anyone was going to try, it would be Jay White.
Boy, then the number one contender would really have an advantage, but...
If you did, it would really matter if you did like a Casino Gauntlet, this probably exists, where it's like a ladder match. So you come out one at a time, but your goal is just to get the ring. So if you come out first, you can try to get the ring before anybody else comes out. That was kind of fun.
And then the second seed just has to like come out at a dead sprint and just like launch themselves into the ladder that the guy's like on top of.
I think I would enjoy that.
So it's like you always just watch a weird race with the guy falling pretty far at the start.
I think there's something to that. I think get that to someone backstage. It probably exists, and it's probably universally hated, if I had to guess. So Powerhouse Hobbs ended up winning this Casino Gauntlet, which means he's going to fight Mox on next week's Dynamite, and he cut a little post-match promo where he said that he really angrily, he said, "I'm going to make Jon Moxley my bitch." And everyone really liked that for some reason. And I was kind of like, I know we like it when Okada says bitch, but he says it kind of like cunty. I don't really like it when the men say it mean. That makes me unhappy.
Yeah.
So I didn't prefer it. Any highlights from the match for you?
It was a really fun one. Like there were a lot of fun people in it. Like most of the time when someone came out, I was like, "Oh, I like them. Like this is star-studded." So then it was kind of funny when Hobbs won because I was like, "Oh, sure, that's fine. I mean, I don't care." But
yeah, it was fascinating to be like so many good options, and you went with Hobbs, but that's okay. I'm not mad, but it's interesting.
Just confusing a little bit, but sure.
How long was he? He came back fairly recently, and he'd been out for a while, right? Since he fought Mox last year.
Yeah, I think I read that, like, that's kind of why they're doing this. They're, like, it's a make good because he got hurt in his last Mox match, but which is fine, I guess. But
I hope he doesn't get hurt again in this one.
Yeah, that wouldn't be fun. I wouldn't like that for him.
No. I know, I guess it came out kind of like a mob threat, but be a shame if something happened again.
I feel like Hobbs is someone who like can be really fun, but a lot of times it feels like he's trying actively to suppress all those instincts and like doing weird stuff that's not fun.
Sarah has this theory that there's someone backstage who's giving him advice, and it's the worst advice anybody's ever gotten in their life. Because like I think like when he was working with Team Taz, he was like a different, like better wrestler.
He was great.
And then like around the Book of Hobbs stuff, he started wrestling different and like not like he's wrestling like slow and like not paying attention to the like what the crowd wants, and like she's like somebody's giving him really bad advice, and that person needs to be like identified and shamed.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me. Unfortunately I miss the days of Team Taz when I loved both Ricky and Hobbs, and as a tag team and a comedic duo, they were actually pretty unparalleled.
Oh,
Pretty
yeah.
perfect. They should not have split up. It was such a bad idea.
Do you remember when Tony bought Hobbs that fur coat and like he was so
that
proud
fur
of it?
coat
He was
was
wearing
so
it everywhere.
killer.
Like that was top tier times. Like when we talk about like going back in time to the good days, no one brings that up, but that was pretty good.
Weren't they like out by the lake, like in Cleveland, and it was like snowing, and Hobbs was in his fur coat, and Ricky was wearing like almost nothing. I feel like
it was his panties, I believe.
Yeah. Wow, it's burned in my brain forever.
God, they were so funny. Sometimes it's like, I don't know. Sometimes you see stuff like that and you're like, so you just really wanted to be a single star, and you really think that like the best thing that you can be as a man is a single star? The best thing you can be as a man is someone who has a friend. E.g. a tag team. A-I-E-G, a tag team.
Find a comedy duo. Will Ospreay gets it, you know?
Yeah.
Throw yourself at anybody.
Will Ospreay's like, I'd love to be in a tag team, but I just can't find anyone who would have me.
Nobody wants to be my friend. Maybe he really should just start. What if Kenny thinks that he and Ospreay are going to be in a fight again, but Ospreay is just like, oh, thank God you're back. Someone who understands my trauma. Like, let's be friends. And so then they have a whole thing where Kenny keeps being like, I can't deal with you right now. I'm actually letting go of vengeance, and I'm letting go of like blah, 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 blah. And Ospreay's just like, do you want to have a sleepover? I haven't had a sleepover in so long. I miss it so much.
He's like, I've been reading up on advice for chemistry. Do you want to sit in a chair across from me and stare into each other's eyes for like a while until we like feel something?
I'm playing my video games. I neither want to look at nor talk to you. Leave me alone. And Ospreay says, I'll be so quiet. I'm just going to stay here, but I'll be so quiet. I love watching you play. You're really good. Okay, that's a good idea. Do you guys want to talk about Ricochet?
Yes.
Yeah.
This was by far the highlight of this match, I think, which was that Swerve's music hit. And I was immediately like, oh my God. And Hangman's face also was like, oh my God. And then it was Ricochet instead. And it was so funny.
The screenshots of the moment when his music hit and Hangman's face lit up in this complicated, like, oh no, but oh yes way. And then when Ricochet appeared, and it's just like the most like disappointed, furious, like I lost it. It's so funny. Hangman has a perfect Muppet face for something like that.
And the degree to which he and Swerve have both completely embodied the Kate Beaton Nemesis comics in this rivalry. It's like it is like Hangman like basically clutched a locket that had Swerve's picture in it and was like, finally I get to fight a man I care about. And then it was just Ricochet. Mwah.
Perfect. And
so
Ricochet
funny.
had such a smug little face. Like he knew exactly what he'd done it. He was so proud of it.
Yeah. And it's like, it's so horny that the crowds keep chanting whose house at Hangman to like get to him. And then for the wrestler, like for Ricochet to take that on is like really high level. And I love how it's like keeping the Hangman Swerve stuff alive, like reminding us that he has the sexual nemesis who's all he cares about. And also it's like, Ricochet, you piece of shit. Like, what an annoying thing to do, you know? It's like perfect.
I think it's psychologically really rich in this case too, that like he's about to come out to fight Hangman, so this gets Hangman's goat. So that's great. But then he's in this feud with Swerve. And so I think the implication is kind of, for me, is that like Swerve is going to be like, how dare you activate my nemesis? How dare you go out there and activate my nemesis with my song? And it is just like, he's like throwing stones. He's hitting birds left and right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, you really furthered a lot of storylines at one time and your own characterization and like one fell swoop. Like, Ricochet, are you a genius?
I'm starting to think perhaps. I mean, like the degree of turnaround on his character since he started healing out is just like, yeah, you're perfect.
Yeah.
I love you.
Yeah. He's
Doing
doing
great work.
so good. He's doing everything I could have wanted him to do. Like, I'm like, of course, you have to let people be weird. When they get to be weird and do creative stuff, then you really do get gems sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's like sometimes you get weird garbage, but a lot of the time you get weird genius. So
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
have to accept the weird garbage. Everyone
to.
likes to get a little
It's part
too
of the
mad
process.
about the weird garbage.
They
but
do.
it's like,
Yeah.
it's okay to just say like, well, that's bad. Don't do that anymore. You
Yeah.
know? But this is good. Keep doing it.
Keep doing it, please.
Leah, are you going to say something?
No, I've reserved the right to cut this. Do you remember when Miro kept giving promos about like how he didn't want people to cuck him with his wife, but he kind of did? Who was he fighting with?
I don't know if he was
Andrade?
fighting with.
Was it Andrade? Oh
Was
my
it
god, it was
Andrade?
Andrade.
It definitely overlapped with Andrade.
See, my memory is like, was Miro ever feuding with anyone specific? He was just like giving promos against God and about his hot wife. So
But right
constantly.
before he left,
Andrade's
I think you're
final
right, though.
match,
Yeah.
that seems crazy. That seems insane,
You know,
but maybe.
Miro and Andrade fought at World's End last year, which seems like
That was his
insanely
final match.
close in time to us. It's like, how was that only a year ago? That was like a different era.
Yeah.
And Andrade is at WWE now. How's that going? Do you guys know?
I think bad.
Yeah. Anyone talking about it or
I haven't heard anything.
no? Well, no news is not good news, I think, in the world of wrestling.
He's
Well,
not
I
on
was
that 8-second show or whatever their YouTube
Oh, the
thing,
speed
right?
or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I only bring that up because I was thinking about weird garbage everybody gets mad about. And I was just like, remember when Miro was like, don't fuck my wife in front of me unless.
Well, that was after. Well, okay, I can't remember the details, so maybe we'll circle back. We'll have some more Miro talk next week.
mean,
Maybe we'll
one
try to
thing-
get that in every week.
One thing you can say about Miro is he was trying some stuff. So until he refused to try anything ever again. Yeah. But-
Yeah, what happened with him? I mean, I guess it's like he gave Tony that bargain contract, and then he signed another long contract and immediately said, Miro doesn't work here anymore. Well, you know, he's a scammer, and so you got to respect the con, I guess. Okay, Hangman, I guess, got into it with Christopher Daniels. I think what I understood, I got confused, because we didn't see this happen on last week's Dynamite, did we? It happened at last week's Dynamite, but aired on Collision.
Oh.
I think that's right because I just saw it on Twitter, I think.
Yeah, I only knew that it aired on Collision.
I think that's what happened. Well, I got confused. It's not. I shouldn't even have brought it up because it's just the way it was phrased in a recap that I was reading that confused me. But basically, Christopher Daniels was like, Hangman, I still believe in you. Maybe you are good. And Hangman was like, literally, fuck you. You're so old. I hope you die. Old ass man. And then he slapped him. And then Christopher Daniels attacked him and screamed, I'm the fallen angel and you'll respect me. And then Hangman said, is that what you want? You'll get it. Respect? Okay.
Sometimes I do enjoy how Hangman's character sometimes gets so mad that he stops making any kind of sense.
It's a perfect character note, yeah. So they're gonna fight? Yeah, maybe? They could.
I
They
mean,
might.
the thing is that like a lot of things like look like they're heading for a fight and they don't end up being. This looks like it should. Will it be? I don't know.
Okay, well, maybe let's leave it for now because other old men have done worse crimes this week, so we want to leave some time for them. This week on Collision, the Death Riders had a segment where Mox repulsively talked about how he loves and respects FTR, but he doesn't respect... No, it's so gross. But he doesn't respect the fact that they are trying to sick Adam Copeland on him. So they'll be in trouble for that. And then he said, this new world, the AEW of the future, in my world, survival comes at a cost. You'll have to evolve into something new, Pokemon. But I promise you, you will find nothing good down this road. Hell on earth. It is classic word soup from Mr. Mox. I say, I'm trying to learn about your cult, and I'm trying to learn if you're more of a Nexium or a Heaven's Gate deal, and I'm not getting enough information to make a call.
I'd love if we could get a sit-down interview with Mox to talk through his cult and just like have a bunch of diagnostic questions where it's like, are you more of like a fundamentalist Mormon, Nexium, Heaven's Gate? Like we got a lot of options. Jim Jones.
Right. It's like the end goal to make a lot of money, or is the end goal for everybody to be dead in a bunker? Like, which way are we? I'm kind of thinking option 2, and I'm kind of working on a theory now that he's like, thank you, balloons. I'm kind of working on a theory that he's like, the best possible thing that could happen is kind of like a mass murder-suicide, and then we all wrestle in heaven. Like, that seems like where we're headed, but they'll all
evolve into something new, like heaven wrestlers.
Don't really know. Heaven Wrestler. That's a t-shirt idea. Jot that down. Okay. Bleep, 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 bleep. Oh, Adam Copeland and Jericho had a run-in on Collision as well, and then they had a trios fight, in what was main evented, where Cope pinned Jericho. And then backstage, in the meantime, Mox was doing erotic torture on some old men that I don't know, and the Outrunners. And then FTR and Cope came out to save them, but they couldn't. I mean, the torture was done, so they chased off the Death Riders, but, the damage had been done. And so then on Dynamite, Cope came out for an in-ring promo in which he yelled at the Death Riders for being mean to Bryan Danielson and Darby Allin, because we had a replay of them kicking Darby Allin down some stairs, which isn't mean. It's what he wants and needs and craves.
Again, mind your business.
Constantly. People are constantly interrupting the Death Riders' consensual scenes backstage.
If you see something, don't say anything. Why don't you just ask their color? Okay, just do a little color check. And so Cope was mad, and then he said that they did something. The Death Riders had done something the sin that they can't repent. Yeah. Which, again, got cut out of the transcript.
Possibly crazy. Because that grammar makes no sense. But
it doesn't make sense, but I feel like you need it there to really understand what was going on with this man. And he said that sin was that they tried to go after FTR, and he's very close friends with them. So massive mistake. Huge. And so he wants to fight the Death Riders, and the Death Riders came out to beat him up, and then everyone's beating each other up, and then Powerhouse Hobbs came out to drive them off, I guess because he's going to fight Mox, so that's why. End scene. Thoughts on Cope's promo?
It is like my least favorite kind of promo where he's just like, well, you did violence, but it's not the violence that I would have done, but I'm also violent. So I'm going to do my violence to you, and then you'll regret the violence that you had. Also, I hate Cope's hair right now, so it's really affecting me.
It's really moved into a mullet territory.
Yeah, I don't care for it. And I don't like the color. I don't like what we're doing.
Do you think that's also because he's hoping to win an Emmy? Like, he thinks it's cool, or...
He's gone Hollywood.
Yeah.
When's the next season of that show coming out?
I don't know. When did we watch the first season? Was that in 2023? Was it in?
Surely.
I bet it was winter of 2024. Early.
Yeah, that's probably right.
This is why people tune in. They want to hear us try and remember what TV we watched together and when.
It probably was like about a year ago, like January, February of last year.
I didn't like this promo at all, and I was annoyed. I was just like,
when men just like recite how tough they are, it's like, that's great.
I hate it. can you just explain something interesting about yourself? And I usually like Cope, but I didn't.
I'm really struggling because people are so down on Cope right now, and I don't want to be because I like Cope and I want to be excited about what he's doing, and also like I don't want other people's like sorry, my fucking cat. I don't want other people's like opinions to color mine. Like I don't like when other people like their bad moods about people make me have a bad mood. So I go into every segment being like, and Cope, you're going to come back for me. And then every time I'm like, oh my God, can we do a hair versus mask match for you?
Who's mask?
Anyone's literally anyone.
Who's the really handsome? Oh, Beast Mortos.
But we want Cope to lose, so it doesn't really matter whose mask it is. Yeah,
sure.
That's true.
But you're right that would give it some stakes. But the hair is maybe stakes enough for you, at least.
It's so true.
I didn't notice it that much, but I agree. I'm not trying to pile on anybody, and but I don't know. I just need someone to say something more concrete. Like, I'm just starting to get a headache about, Mox is like coming out every week and basically like philosophically being like, and what is a wrestling promotion and what should it stand for and what should it be? And I say, I don't know. You tell me, what should it stand for? What should it be? And then he says, I'm asking you what a wrestling promotion should be and stand for. And I say, okay. And then Cope is coming out and being like, and it should be what he's saying more stuff. And I'm just like, I don't know, guys. I'm just trying to watch my wrestling. I don't think that it should be a Socratic dialogue right now about the nature of wrestling in the way that you're talking about it.
I also think it's so funny that Mox's crimes started at such a high level and have been dwindling in such a funny way where it's like, we've beaten up the Rock and Roll Express. Okay. Bad boys.
They don't even go here.
They don't even go here, and they're really old. You're just picking on the elderly.
That is pretty evil. Elder crime. Okay. Anything else to say? Oh. Well, this isn't really relevant at all, but I guess I will say it. That I just was thinking about, when do people think, so everyone thinks like Darby is going to get the title. And that's why he's still getting shoved down staircases and stuff. And people think that's going to happen at All In. Is that what keeps getting kicked around?
I don't know.
I haven't really heard concrete timing.
I haven't heard timing. Yeah.
I guess I just feel like everyone keeps being like, buckle in, because Mr. Mox is going to be...
They do keep saying that, yeah.
Well, I guess, so this is the thing. But Darby says that he is going to climb Everest this year. And I believe that the optimal time to climb Everest is in the spring.
Yeah.
It's
April.
Your April
And that's
period.
why it's so crowded on top, because there's like 3 weeks you can do it. Yeah.
That's why it's so crowded on top. So it's like, either he can't win the belt before that. You can't have a man win a belt and then he goes to Everest. That I can't imagine that's going to happen. So if he is going to win the belt, it has to be after that. He doesn't have to win the belt. Maybe somebody else is going to win the belt. I'm just saying what everyone's been saying, okay? So Tony Khan is like, okay, Darby, you can go to Everest, and if you don't die, you'll get a belt? I think he should be like...
Yeah, I think he should be like, Darby, I'm giving you a belt so you can't go to Everest.
Go die. Yeah. That's what I thought he was going to do. And when we were talking about this back in the fall, and it seemed, I don't know, it just didn't seem like we'd still be here this way at this point.
I thought you meant existentially.
This has been such a I give up kind of conversation.
At the time, I thought that Tony Khan had done a political mastermind. I mean, actually, just like a caring friend mastermind, really, where he was like, God, I don't want him to go kill himself. I know. Give him the belt, but then it'll be because he has the belt, he won't be able to go to Everest and die. So that in that way, Scheherazade, we get another year, and every year I come up with some fun way to keep them from going to Everest, so he never can die. I thought that's what Tony was doing, and I was like proud of him. I was like, that's good of you to do.
And it's a fun enrichment activity too. Then you get to think of something every year to keep Darby in the States in April.
And I do think Tony needs to keep his little brain moving like that because, you know, swim or die. But instead, I guess is just going to be like, okay, well, go and die or don't. Like, he's just like, it's just one time and he either dies or he doesn't. And then we never have to think about this again. I don't know. I'm like, okay, coward. Okay, you lazy coward.
It is like, it's like, well, this is irresponsible. Like, you know Darby shouldn't be up there. You should do something about it.
Let him. Has anyone even put together a backstage presentation that just walks him through, like, why it won't be cool or fun?
Show him a PowerPoint. Come on.
Someone put a deck together. It just seems like no one wants to work anymore. That's what I'm feeling. Okay. Jeff Jarrett came out to the ring on Dynamite to get interviewed by Ian Riccaboni, and then he immediately got interrupted by MJF, and they had a long promo segment where MJF was just like, Jeff Jarrett, you're old and almost dead. And
he did, but like he also weirdly like was like, obviously we all respect you, and obviously you're so great, and obviously all this stuff. And I was like, why is MJF fluffing up Jeff Jarrett? Like at the end, like he did the classic MJF thing where he was like, obviously you're a legend, but legends should die. You know what I mean? But like, I was sort of like the whole time I just kept being like, and why is this happening? Why these people?
And didn't he also say, he was like, and Jeff Jarrett, you've only signed a contract for a year. Oh, was I not supposed to say that? It's like, Jeff Jarrett said that
Jeff
last
said
week.
that in his promo last week. And then also MJF had just last week been like, seems like I want to be in the title scene and I want my big, beautiful belt back. But then this week he was like, it's so busy in the title scene. I guess I'll just promo on Jeff Jarrett instead. Like, it's like, if you can't have a belt, I guess you kill an old man is the logic, which, I don't know, you got to do something.
It is definitely some kind of like sitcom, like Looney Tunes logic to be like, it's too busy in the title scene right now, and I don't feel like dealing with all that. So I'll help Jeff Jarrett get in there, and he'll win the belt, and then I'll get my title shot with Jeff Jarrett. And you're like, okay, I don't think you thought that went through at all.
Because he was basically being like, Jeff Jarrett, do you need a manager? Oh, I guess that is one way to not wrestle very much, but still be on the show, I guess.
This was so crazy. It was like, well, on the one hand, these two do kind of deserve each other, maybe, but then on the other hand, I don't deserve this.
Well, that's the thing is, like, of course, like, I don't care if they're in a feud for the rest of our God-given lives, except that MJF is inexplicably allowed to do 25-minute live promos every week. And I'm like, and if you add Jeff Jarrett to that, I'm gonna kill myself.
Yeah.
I'm just I'm struggling, girls. I'm struggling because, you know, I don't enjoy spending a whole year being mad at Jeff Jarrett, which it has been a long year of. And I think that I just keep getting in this place where it's like, okay, it's nothing but old men as far as the eye can see at this promotion. And it's like they are lining up being like, well, it's time for me to retire, so give me some TV time so that I can retire good. And I'm not trying to begrudge anybody a nice end to their long career, but I keep being like, why is this happening to me? And then I was saying here, the only old man that we have seen retire, and he had a retirement run, he wasn't that old, but where we liked it was Sting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Sting never did anything wrong from my perspective in his time at AEW. And so I was like, can we talk about what Sting did in his retirement run versus what is happening in some of these retirement runs?
Yeah. Well, it's like Sting made it about Darby, right? Like most of it was about Darby. Like he was like, I'm going to retire even though I've had the time of my life with Darby. And it's like all these other retirement runs are like, pay attention to me. And I'm like, God.
Yeah, and it feels a little bit like, and this is just because I'm seeing my nephews, but it's like when a 4-year-old tells a good joke and it gets a good reaction, he'll want to repeat the same joke over and over, and it's like, oh, buddy, it's not funny the second time. And I feel like Sting's retirement got such good reviews that Tony was like, who else can we retire? Like, find me some old men. And it's like, yeah, the Sting one was perfect, and now you're just doing kind of like weird, worse rehashes.
Yeah.
And it's not fun.
Well, I think the other thing, I mean, the thing that I was thinking about, yes, Sting's retirement run was about Darby, but it's like Sting's entire time at AEW, like not even just the end of the run, was about Darby. Because Sting, like, clearly showed up like, I'm in a support role. Like, I'm a legend, but I'm in a support role, and I'm having these storylines that always, like, you know, like someone else is driving, and then I contribute to in a fun and meaningful and interesting way. Yeah. And that hasn't been the case for anybody else. It certainly isn't the case for Jeff Jarrett, who, you know, it's like Jeff Jarrett has no protege. He has he's not given the rub to anybody else.
No, it's not like he exists to make Sanjay look good or something. It's like it's to make Jeff Jarrett look good. And I feel like Sting too, it's like then when you got the Focus, like his retirement show where you get like, you know, like a video package on his career and stuff, it feels very earned. And you also feel like Sting hasn't been taking up a lot of my time making things about himself. So I'm very happy for him to have this. Whereas someone like Jeff Jarrett has been taking up a lot of my time about himself this whole time. So it's like, I don't want to see him get more flowers. It's like, you've already received your reward in full, buddy. Like, get out of here.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know. I mean, I guess like maybe someone is making an argument like Jeff Jarrett last summer was like supporting Bryan Danielson's retirement. Although like Bryan Danielson's retirement, I was like, well, Bryan Danielson, you could be supporting other people a little. Yeah, you could be building other people up a little more.
Right? Like why wasn't any of that about Yuta? You know what I mean? Like he could have gotten Yuta over, but and it didn't occur to me until you said like you did the intro to this that I was like, oh, did Christopher Daniels just take over Jeff Jarrett's role in Hangman's Life? Why are we doing this?
I don't know what's happening.
It's very weird. And it feels very, very just unearned from Jeff Jarrett. And like maybe if you've been watching his whole career, you feel like you want it. But it's like just from his point of view in AEW, it's like, well, he's like a low Carter who's been doing just kind of like annoying nothing feuds that I've been annoyed with. Yeah. So I don't really feel enthused to watch him be celebrated. Whereas Sting, every time he was out there, it was pretty delightful.
Yeah, because I mean, I think it's like, because we never watched wrestling before we watched AEW. Like our metric is like, have you managed to enchant us? Even if you're a legend who's been around for many, many years, have you managed to enchant us in the time that you're here in a way where like we feel sad to see you go, or like we understand, I don't know, something about how meaningful it is for you to leave. Mm-hmm. Not a lot of people have managed to do that, really.
No, it's, I mean, I do think it's like a data point of like who comes out being like, this is my chance to reestablish who I am and go and like have like this new opportunity to reach people, and who comes out and is like, the people already love me and I don't have to do anything about that. Yeah.
Yeah. And also who comes in being like, oh, how can I help the promotion? How can I help the younger guys? And who comes in like, wow, another great time to celebrate me, you know?
Yeah, right.
Well, girls, that was a little bit of a bummer note to end on, but it's our final topic. So
do you want to, I just remembered as Leah was talking about the hair versus mask thing, last night, before I was falling asleep, I watched an SVU episode where they walk into an abandoned building and like a teen has died and they're like, he has been tortured to death. There are thumbtacks in his back. He is wearing a BDSM mask. There are fluorescent light tubes all over. I'm like, it's wrestling. He was doing wrestling. And they're like, no, is it a cutting fetish? They spend like 10 minutes being like, wow, I think this was definitely sexual sadism, like a cutting fetish. He is wearing a BDSM match. I'm like, it's a luchador mask, okay? This is all very standard. And yeah, it was wrestling. It was some kids doing some extreme wrestling. I was like, it's an ECW style death match in here, you guys. Like, come on.
I am now imagining Ice-T with his cadence being like, they call it professional wrestling.
The kids call it blading.
they end up getting a video because his friend was like filming their match, obviously.
Yeah.
And then when they like jump on each other and like are doing just like normal little boy wrestling, like they're like, oh, they're wrestling. And someone says pretty extreme wrestling. I'm like, no, it's pretty normal wrestling, actually. Like, yes,
God.
you have to be careful of the femoral artery, obviously, but
Wow. So did that make you feel like all these years of watching wrestling were worth it, Anne?
I was like, wow, I have an area of expertise I didn't used to have where there's still thumbtacks in his back. I'm like, oh, I know what's happening.
Okay, I get it.
Solved. Yep. Mystery solved.
Great. That was a perfect little pick me up from our Jeff Jarrett segment. Was there anything you guys wanted to talk about that I did not give you the opportunity to talk about?
I'm going to miss you guys next week.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to miss you guys too.
So sad.
But then we'll be back. And I'm hopeful. This is what I started to say earlier, but I wasn't doing really good talking for most of this episposde. I'm hopeful that...
Fine. You've been fine this whole time.
Hey, thank you so much, Greggy. Thanks, Greg. I'm still out visiting my parents, and I'm on my kind of American tour of December, January. But next time we talk, I will be back in Minneapolis in my own home, and I'm hopeful that my life will be completely recalibrated. My deadlines that have been ruining my life passed. Everything else about my life better. I think.
Yeah.
Just being in your own home. I mean, that's a huge...
In my own home. And so then I think I'll be doing really good at being a friend and at being a wrestling podcaster the next time we talk. Is that exciting?
Well, you've been doing good at both, but of course I want your mood to be boisterous.
Oh, no, I haven't. I haven't been doing good at anything, but I'm going to be doing good at everything in 2 weeks. Just in time for my birthday.
Hey.
So on that note, I've been Allie.
I've been Ann.
And I've been Leah.
This is Tunnel Talk. Our theme is by Chris Corkin. You can find us on Twitter, Tumblr, Twitch at Tunnel Talk Pod, via email tunneltalkpod@gmail.com. We also have merch now. You can find it at chopped-tees.com. You can find us on our feed, on the Social Suplex Network feed, where you can also check out some of the other great podcasts on the network, and you can find us on the Social Suplex Network Discord. Please rate, review, and subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. Please stay frosty, and as always, come back next week.
At Verizon, anyone can trade in their old phone for a new one on us with Unlimited Ultimate, which means everyone in your family could get a new phone and stay on your family plan, keeping you close.
Hey, Mom, you seen my toothbrush? Yeah, I'm almost done with it.
Oh, maybe too close. Trade in and additional terms apply. See Verizon.com for details.
Lowe's knows how to help make your Super Bowl 59 party a touchdown. Let us help you prep your home to host with top brands like Charbroil, Blackstone, and LG, so you can be the MVP of game day. Plus, use the Lowe's app to find what you need for a seamless shopping run. Or huddle up with our Lowe's Red Vest associates to help make all your game time hosting decisions.